Hello students, welcome to the Sketchup 8 tutorial on how to draw a pencil. Let's open Sketchup 8. Before we start, I want to make sure that you have this large tool set down the left hand side. So I want you to go to the pull down menu, View, choose Toolbars, and I want you to make sure that there is a check mark beside Large Tool Set. We're going to be utilizing tools in that toolbar as well. All right, let's immediately save this file. So let's go to File, Save As. In the Save In window, click the down arrow and look for your student number, or you can look for your student number down the left-hand side. And I want you to call the file Pencil. And click Save. All right, let's begin. From the pull-down menu, Camera, go to Standard Views, and I want you to choose right. So all we're doing is we're quickly shifting the position of the camera. So let's go to right. Let's use the zoom tool. Click on the magnifying glass. I want you to position the magnifying glass over the origin point and then zoom in. Zoom in quite a bit. Now remember, we're drawing a pencil, so we're going to have to be magnified quite a bit. All right, from the toolbar, let's use the circle tool. Click on the circle tool and position the center of the circle at the origin and click once. Move your mouse outwards, but do not click again. I want you to type in 3 mm, 3 millimeters. It should appear in the measurement window in the bottom right-hand corner. Once you've typed in 3 millimeters, hit enter, and that will set the radius of this circle to 3 millimeters. I've measured a pencil at home and it's approximately 3 millimeters in radius. All right, we're going to have to magnify even further. So let's use the zoom tool and let's zoom right in on that circle. It's very, very small. Okay, so we're going to create the tip of the pencil first. That is the most challenging part. So I'm going to use the rotate tool, the orbit tool. And I'm just going to slightly change my position. So I'm looking at the circle at a slight angle. I want to have this red axis kind of going down to the right-hand bottom corner. All right, let's click on the draw tool or the pencil tool. I want you to position the pencil in the center of your circle and click once. Move your mouse down that red axis line. Do not click your mouse a second time. And then I want you to type in 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters. You'll see it in the bottom right-hand corner in the measurement box. And hit enter. So that will set that line at 2 centimeters coming out from the circle. Now if you can't see it very well, I'm going to use the orbit tool. And then I should be able to see it. Now, did it draw? There it is. Okay. So I'm going to click back on the pencil tool. And I'm going to click on the end point of that line I just drew. And then I'm going to draw another line back to an edge of the circle. And then I'm going to connect the end of that line to the center. And it should fill in a triangle cut into that circle or cut out from that circle. Now if we have a look at it, see? It's just a flat triangle. So what I want to do with that triangle is I want to make it into a cone. All right, next thing we have to do is click on the selection arrow, the arrow tool, and click on the outer circle. Then on the large tool set, I want you to click on the Follow Me tool. This is what the Follow Me tool looks like. Okay, I'm going to click on the Follow Me tool. And I'm going to click on this triangle and then rotate around. It should fill it in automatically. You might have to just move your mouse slightly to kind of get it started, but it should fill in the cone. So let's have a look at that cone. Make sure we're looking at it from all angles. Make sure it looks good. It's very nice. All right, let's go to File and let's save it. Okay, so let's look at the cone from the other end, from the flat end. Now, if we rotate around and orbit around, we see that the other side of the cone is actually hollow. So we need to fill that in. We need to have a solid back on the other side of the cone. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So we're going to use the pencil tool again, the draw tool. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from one edge of the circle across to the other edge. This is known as the diameter. So I'm going to click a line, endpoint to endpoint, and that should fill in that cone, the bottom or the base of the cone. Now that line that I just drew is actually going to cause a problem later. So I'm going to click on the selection arrow, and I'm going to click on that line. I'm going to right click on that line and choose erase. Okay, and it shouldn't erase the bottom of your cone. Very good. All right, so I'm going to have a look at this, the base of this cone straight on, or as close to straight on as possible. Now, we know that a pencil is actually not a cylinder. Okay, so we're going to create the shape of the pencil. So down the left-hand side, the large tool set, I want you to click on the Polygon tool, which is the triangle. So I'm going to click on the Polygon tool, and I'm going to position the middle of that polygon in the middle of that circle at the origin. I'm going to click once, and I'm going to pull my mouse outwards to the edge of the circle. Now, there's a couple ways you can orient that hexagon. You can have it this way, but if I want the pencil sitting flat on the ground, I'm actually going to turn that hexagon this way. And I'm going to click again to draw that hexagon. All right, I'm going to use the orbit tool, and I'm going to slightly look at it from an angle, and I'm going to use the pan tool so that I can have some space to the right here. All right, let's use the push-pull tool from the top toolbar. I'm going to click on that hexagon, and I'm going to start pulling it towards me, but I don't want to click again. I want you to type in 15 centimeters and then hit enter. And that will set the length of that hexagon to be 15 centimeters. Now, I'm totally zoomed in, so I won't be able to see the end of that pencil. So how about I just zoom out so that I could see the relative size of that pencil compared to the girl's foot. There we go. That looks pretty accurate. Okay, let's zoom in again. Let's use the magnifying tool. And I want to zoom in right on the edge of that hexagon where the hexagon meets the base of the cone. So this is a problem that we're going to have to deal with here, where the hexagon, where we have a straight edge of the hexagon meeting the rounded edge of the cone. Now, if I concentrate on this area alone, I can see that the edge of the circle is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of straight lines. So what I have to do is I have to kind of make these lines meet with this straight edge here. So we're going to have lots of practice at this. I'm going to go through it for the first time here. All right, I want to click on this edge of the hexagon, and I want to right click on it, and I want to choose explode curve. Make sure you right click on it and choose explode curve. So that's the first step. Then I want you to right click on it again and look for divide. So when you click on divide and you move your mouse, you'll see that there are these little kind of red squares, and that shows you how many segments you're going to divide that line into. Now, we need to divide it into 4 segments. So as you move your mouse, it will tell you how many segments it's dividing into. So when we've got it set at 4 segments, click your mouse again, and it's set. All right, now we need to deselect. This is a very important step. I need you to click somewhere outside of your diagram, of your sketch. Okay, let's find the move tool. The move tool looks like 4 arrows. Click on the move tool. And if we've done it right, what we're going to do is we're going to move this point, this end point, and I want you to meet it to that point there. And then we're going to move this end point, and it should click on to the second point. And then we're going to click on this point, and it should come down to the last point. And now we've got this area flattened. So if that made any sense, we're going to have, like I said, we're going to have lots of practice at this. I'm going to now go to the next section of the pencil, and I'm going to repeat all of those steps. So first I want to click on the selection arrow. I want to click on this straight line here, this straight edge, and I'm going to right click, and the first step is to explode curve. Next, I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to divide. I'm going to move my mouse so that I divide it into 4 sections and click. Remember to deselect. Click outside of your sketch. Go to the Move tool. Click on your first point on the rounded edge of the cone and bring it down to the first point. Click on the second point and then click on the third point. Nice and clean. All right, use your rotate tool. Continue to the next part. I'm going to click on the selection arrow tool, click on that edge, right click, choose explode curve. I'm going to right click, choose divide, make it into 4 segments. Deselect, make sure you deselect. I'm going to click on the move tool and then move each point down. So I hope you're getting the hang of it. So I'm going to go a little bit faster. I'm going to rotate. I've got a couple more sides to go. I'm going to click on the selection arrow, click on this line, right click, explode curve, right click, divide, make it into 4 sections, deselect, move, now don't worry if this step takes a long time. It took me a long time to learn how to do it, so just go slowly. Okay, I've got 2 more sections to go. Don't forget to deselect. That was kind of one of the big mistakes I was making the first time I tried to do this. Got 1 more section to go. Now because you're zoomed in on a very tiny object, it's hard to navigate around this environment. So keep using your orbit tool, keep using your pan tool, keep using your zoom tools. And I'm about to complete the last section. All right. So I've kind of merged all sides of the hexagon to the base of that cone. So let's have a look at it. Let's zoom out a bit. Oops. Again, let's use the pan tool. There we go. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at this edge here. Looks very good. All right, let's save. Okay. We're almost done. So what I want to do is I want to have a look at the pencil from the back side now. From the top point, I guess, the top edge. And I want to zoom in. Oops, too far, sorry. And what I want to do is I want to create the lead inside the pencil. So I want to be looking at it at the right angle here. All right, let's use the circle tool. Okay, now I've got the circle tool activated, so I need to find the center of this hexagon. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hover my mouse over the corners of the hexagon. I'm going to let Sketchup kind of memorize those corners. And then once I've hovered over 3 corners, if I move towards the middle, it will tell me the center of that shape. So I want you to click once to activate the circle tool, and I want you to start pulling your mouse outwards, but don't click again. I want you to type in 1 millimeter, 1 mm for the radius of that lead and hit enter. So that should give us the lead inside the pencil. Now, if you find that that's too small, you could bump it up. You can experiment to 1.2 millimeters, 1.3 millimeters. It's up to you. Okay, so now let's create the lead point on the tip of the pencil. So I'm just going to move things around so that I'm going to look at the pencil now from the other end. I want to look at it straight on. Okay. If I want, I can go to Camera, Standard Views, Right, just like we did at the very beginning. Now for this part, I don't want you to zoom in very far. Okay, so this is probably the trickiest part of the whole tutorial. So let's go to File and let's save. All right, let's use the Rectangle tool. And what I want you to do is I want you to create a rectangle above the pencil, kind of floating in space here. And I want the area of that rectangle to be much larger than the area of the pencil that you're looking at from this view. So I'm going to give you an idea of how big I want that rectangle to be. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so if you look at it now, if I orbit around to the side, you'll see that I've drawn this rectangle floating above the pencil right at the point where the tip of the pencil starts. So I want you to orbit around so that you're looking at the pencil from the side now. All right, let's click on the arrow tool. And I want you to double click on that rectangle. Now, the rectangle looks very thin because I'm looking at it from the side. So hopefully you position your camera so that you can see a little bit of the rectangle. Okay, if not, then just orbit and change your view slightly. All right, I'm going to double click on this rectangle. So what that does is not only does it highlight the outer edge of the rectangle, but it highlights the inside of the rectangle as well. All right, let's click on the Move tool. And what I want you to do is I want you to position the Move tool in the corner of that rectangle. I want you to grab it and move it to the right. So now the rectangle is positioned approximately right in the middle between the edge of the tip and the very tip. All right, let's look at the pencil from the front view now. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to click on the Move tool. Hopefully your rectangle is still highlighted. If not, you can double click on it using the Select tool. And then I want you to click on the Move tool, and I want you to move this rectangle down so that it cuts off the tip of the pencil. You see how only the tip of the pencil is showing through? Now if I look at it from the side, this will make a little bit more sense. See what I've done? All right, I still have the rectangle highlighted or selected. I want to go up to Edit, and I want to look for Intersect Faces. And then I want to intersect faces with the model. Okay? So what that has done is it has drawn a line around where the rectangle has intersected with the cone. All right, this is going to make more sense once we get rid of this rectangle. So let's use the Eraser tool. And let's click on one edge of the rectangle. Be sure not to click on your cone. Click on one edge of the rectangle, and then I want you to erase the other three edges of the rectangle. So now you see what we've done. We've created this line around the cone. Now we had to go through this very complicated procedure because Sketchup does not allow you to draw on any face that is not completely straight or flat. Now in a cone, the edge is not flat. All right, let's go to File, Save. Okay, we're at a very exciting stage of our project, the coloring stage. So first let's color in the lead. So I want you to click on the paint can, the color tool, and it should automatically default to the colors. But if it doesn't, click on the down arrow and choose colors. So what we want to do is we want to choose a dark gray a graphite color that's almost black. So I'm going to choose this color here, color 006. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to touch in the tip of that pencil to color in the lead. And then I'm going to pan and I'm going to orbit so that I can color. I'm going to click on the paint can again. It will remember the color I want to use. And I want to click on the other edge of the lead right here. All right. Let's go back to the tip. All right, let's change from colors. Let's click the down arrow and let's go to wood. And I want you to choose this, wood, plywood, knots. And I want you to color in the wooden part of the pencil. And then we're going to pan down and we're going to orbit. I'm going to click back on the paint can and I'm going to click around the lead because we're able to see the wood on this side as well. Okay. So now let's color in the pencil. So let's switch back to color. And let's find the appropriate shade of yellow. It's kind of a yellow-brown kind of combination, orange. So how about I choose this one? You can choose any of these colors. I'm going to choose color D06. And I'm going to paint all 6 sides of my pencil. So make sure you orbit around so that you can get all of the sides, that you're painting all 6 sides of the pencil. Beautiful. Okay, so one last thing to do. I want to position my camera so that I'm looking at kind of the end of the pencil. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to create the lettering on the side of the pencil. So let's close the fill tool or the color tool. And down the left-hand side, I want you to look for 3D text tool. I'm going to click on the 3D text tool and enter text. We're going to type in Dixon, which is one of the main brands, one of the major brands of pencil. And I'm going to type in number 2 dash or backslash HB. That's the type of pencil. Most students use an HB pencil. You can experiment with the fonts. I want you to make sure that extruded is set to 0. And for the height, let's try 1.5. Now this is always experimentation. 1.5 millimeters. Sometimes you set it and then it's too high. Sometimes you set it and it's too small. So a lot of the times it's guesswork. So let's click place. And then I want you to place that lettering on this side of the pencil. And that happens to be a very nice size. I probably could have made it a little bit bigger, but I probably don't want to make it any smaller. All right, so let's zoom in a bit to that lettering. Let's use the paint tool again, the paint can. And I'm just going to choose black, but you can choose red, you can choose like a goldish, doesn't matter. And I should be able to paint in the letters here. Very nice. Okay, let me get rid of this. Let me zoom out and have a look at my pencil. Looks pretty realistic, doesn't it? Zoom out again. There we go. There's my model of a pencil. So let's click on the select arrow and deselect. And let's go to File, Save. So this concludes this tutorial. Please call Mr. Ueda over so that you can show him your awesome model of a pencil. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.